Welcome to the Aligned Powerhouse, the podcast for executive women who are done leading from burnout and ready to rise from alignment. I'm your host, Dr. Brittany McGeehan, licensed psychologist, high performance and mindset coach, and guide for high-achieving women who are ready to lead, live, and love without abandoning themselves. Here, we unpack the nervous system truths, mindset shifts, and emotional patterns that drive your leadership so you can build power from the inside out. Let's get into it.
Alrighty, y'all. Welcome to today's episode. Y'all, I'm so excited. We literally just jumped on this call today. I have Dr. Julia with us, and we just jumped in and started chatting. And we were like, quick, we have to hit record. Yeah. Dr. Julia, I met you was it almost a few months ago? Maybe a year ago? I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy about you is that I can't remember because it feels like I've known you forever.
Oh,
so I don't know,
I
I think it had to be this year in 2026 though.
Yes. I think it was.
At some point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we met through networking, and I'm going to tell y'all about her in just a second, but there was just something about you, and I remember just walking up and being like, I think I like you. Hi.
Yes, you too. I know what it was. You were the keynote speaker at a women's event, and I was on the panel at that same event. That's what it was. And then we met at Champagne Board after that.
You are so right.
It was
in
Allen. It was in Allen.
Yes.
And you were the keynote, and it was fantastic. And I was like, love her. And then I saw you later at an event, and I was like, wait, you and I we were both talking at a conference. We were both speakers at a conference.
Oh my gosh, that is exactly what it was.
Yes.
My gosh, that event was still one of my absolute favorites. Your
so
panel that y'all sat on, oh my gosh, I sat and bawled my eyes out and was like, didn't expect this.
My gosh.
It was fantastic. It was wonderful.
Thank you. And yours too. The energy, you had people standing up and walking around. There was a hula hoop. I loved it. I will never forget that. That was my first Dr. B experience.
Yeah, so any event planners out there who are listening, I will bring the hula hoops.
Oh yeah, it was a whole thing. I was like, whoa, what's happening? This is awesome. I'm here for this.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, guys, let me tell you about Dr. Julia here. Give you a proper introduction here, and then we have so many amazing, my brain has just gone in 50 different directions when I think about this conversation, and I'm so excited. So let me share with y'all a little bit about Dr. Julia. So Dr. Julia is an organizational development consultant, executive coach, and the founder of JW Strategies, where she helps leaders and organizations build cultures that actually stick. She co-built and sold a Inc. 5000 company. Am I saying that right?
Yes, Inc. 5000 magazine.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yes, okay, yes. Where culture was cited as a key acquisition driver. And y'all, this was, if I read this correctly in the book, this was a 9-figure exit. This was huge.
Yes.
And y'all built massive. I'm so curious about that experience because, anyway, oh my gosh, we're gonna get into it. Yeah. And now works at the intersection of leadership, business psychology, and organizational transformation with a growing focus on M&A and private equity. And I will tell y'all several of the reasons I was so excited and interested in having Dr. Julia on the show, something we're going to get into toward the end of the show, is that she has a brand new book that is launching literally at the time of this recording next week. Yes. This is how quick we made this happen.
Yes. In 10 days. 10 days from today. Yes. So by the time this comes out, maybe it'll already be out.
Same week.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yes. Oh no, we're you've been slotted. This is going to air week of. Yes. I am so excited. And I have to tell you, I had the privilege of getting to read this book. That's what I've done the last week. And this weekend, it's so good.
Thank
It
you.
is so good, Doctor. Like genuinely, oh my gosh.
That means so much to me. I mean, you're a writer and a entrepreneur and so many things, and so it really means a lot. Not that you said that it's good, but that you took the time to sit down and read it. I am just so blown away just by the fact that you took the time. I'm so appreciative. Thank you.
And I'm also like, why though? Because like you're such a badass. Like
I see you as a badass. Seriously.
Thank you. I received that, but also, and I know I'm like jumping all over the place, but so the name of the book is Pizza Parties Don't Build Culture.
That's right.
But there was so much, like in even just the introduction, I was sitting and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a very soulful, like there are tangible tactical deliverables, right? Like
yes.
the Halo framework.
Yes.
But there was so much heart and soul at the beginning. And like you bring your story into it, which is just it's one of my favorite things about you is that you meet you and you're very warm and fun and enjoyable to talk to. And then you hear all of these different things that you have done.
Thank you.
And you're like, oh my gosh.
You are so...
like,
oh my goodness.
Oh 9-figure exit, served in Afghanistan, played basketball. I don't know if I knew that about you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I have so much respect for our men and women who are serving. I want to make sure I'm clear. I was a contractor in Afghanistan. I did not serve in the armed forces. So I always want to make sure I get that right because I lived in Afghanistan on a military base for 2 years. So I felt like I served in some aspect, but I was a contractor.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Can you help me understand that difference just a little bit more? Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So a quick history lesson. Back in the day when people went into the army, they could, or military, they could go in as like a chef, like a cook. They could go in as an electrician or things like that. Well, as the military evolved, they thought, man, we could probably bring in civilians to do some of these jobs and then have our men and women in uniform doing more specialized uniform type work, like, fighting wars or whatever specialized, intelligence. And so then here comes capitalism that says big companies that say, wait a second, well, this company could do that for you. So my company was, I didn't own this company. This is a big, huge $1 billion company. They contracted with the military and provided people that came over to do these kinds of jobs. My job was project management. So I managed the project and the people that were out doing laundry and like dining facility work and power generation and all of those kind of things. So basically anything that it would take to run a small town, that is what our company did for our men and women in uniform. So so that is kind of an overview. Like we were right there supporting them. We did not go out, we're not like, fighting or doing anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you for that clarification. And it's such as I hear you say that, I'm like, this tracks, and that's so on brand for you, for what I know about you. Right. I think about, there was a few through lines. I took notes.
I love it.
As I was going through your book and just different elements of your story that I would really love to zoom in. Now, one thing I always tell any guest on this show is that if I ask a question or I get too nosy or whatever, you're always allowed to be like, I'm not answering that. I'm not going there.
Of course.
But I really had this sense, especially as you were talking about how you built culture in the company that you then exited.
Yes.
The idea of servant-hearted leadership is really what showed up for me. And that's a term I have a really mixed relationship with because I see it being used to really harm those who are in leadership quite often.
Absolutely. Yes.
And as I'm hearing the ways that you were serving, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. I totally agree. Whenever I was in my coursework for my PhD program, I remember learning about all the different types of leadership, transformational or servant or whatever. And And we looked at like the blind spots for those types of leadership. And one of them for servant leadership particularly is about, taking care of yourself as well, and the harm that you can do as a leader when you're so focused on serving. So yes, I love that you have an interesting relationship with that type of leadership. In my book, I really focus on what I call adaptive leadership, though, where you can be a servant leader one day, and then another day be a visionary, transformational leader, and then in a different moment you might have to be kind of authoritarian, which hopefully people don't have to lean on that too often. But I talk about how we really do have to look at the moment and meet that moment, and not be so rigid in whatever kind of leadership we have. So yes, it could be servant one day. Maybe that's the through line, but it could be very transformative the next day. So I think it's what the moment needs is kind of what I talk about in the book.
There's so much flexibility that goes into that, right? And being able to read the space and understand what is the vision, where are we moving, and how do we get ourselves there?
Yes,
right?
That's right.
And it makes me so curious, because something that I thought about, and I don't know if I got this out of your book or if this is just like a connection that I was making, but it really is that your team is experiencing a leader's almost internal experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're almost kind of acting those things out until you get into this more mature, adaptive space where you can adapt to what they need from you.
I like that. Yeah, that isn't. But I did not write that, but like I really do like the idea that your people, your employees, they're kind of experiencing you as you are, because you're authentic, hopefully. And then you can get to that place of adaptability after some time. I don't think people come into a leadership position, especially a young leader or a first-time leader, and automatically knows how to adapt, because they're still filling themselves out and getting experience. So yeah, spot on. I really like that.
Mm-hmm. So then it makes me so curious about you, right? And again, you share your story and really how you became a leader, capable, and not only capable, but really thriving and creating a space that, like for me, I mean, you did the thing that a lot of entrepreneurs set out to do, right? Like that's not only selling, but it's also running a company that didn't necessarily need you, and one where they wanted to stay.
Yes.
And I am so curious. Can you take us back? You shared this story about 5 a.m. on the basketball team.
Yes.
And I was like,
oh my goodness.
Can you please take us back to this moment?
Yes. Okay. So, earlier in the book, I say like, why should you trust me? These are, a lot of people write leadership books and culture books. What makes me different? And one of the experiences that I talk about was whenever I was playing college basketball, my coach, she gave us this buddy system, and I was a freshman. This particular story that I write about, I remember being a freshman and my buddy was a sophomore. And if your buddy, either one of us, if your buddy is late, you've got to run with your buddy. If your buddy misses practice or shows up without, her shoes or her practice jersey or whatever, you're running with your buddy. So the idea was accountability and trying to create a culture of like, we're a team. And if it's your responsibility to help out your sister. If she doesn't have her uniform, you need to check. You need to make sure that you're checking. And I remember my freshman year, my buddy missed curfew, and coaches found out about it, and they were like, you're up, you're going to be running with her, and I was livid. I remember thinking like when she told us about this buddy, system, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's great. Like that's going to keep us accountable. Like, absolutely. Dr. Brittany, until it happened to me, until it made all sense. It made sense. I was like, yeah, that's great. Until I was the one who was having to run with my buddy. Then I was like, no, I don't like this. But it really showed me like, wow, like this is what it looks like to be a team. This is what it looks like to build a culture where people are looking out for each other. And absolutely, ever since then, I would check in and say like, "Hey, are you in? Do you have your stuff?" And I was a freshman, and so it taught me like how to lead up and how to make sure that my teammates have what they need. And it was really, looking back on it, I didn't think I was going to say this for many years, but looking back on it, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that I actually saw my coach like put her money where her mouth was and was like, "No, you're really running with her right now." And it was a formative experience. So thanks for bringing that one out.
It was one of my favorites, right? Because as I was reading it, I'm not into the sports, is what I have learned. The sports are just like not my favorite, much to my husband's like just dismay.
Yeah.
I do not love them, and I enjoy running, right? Which is like solitary,
Yes,
and you don't necessarily have to.
yeah. Dr. Brittany would have been like, "Sure, I'll run with you."
Probably, but I would have been pissed. I had to run because she was late. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a mature, like grounded perspective on what this built for you. I would have been fuming.
Yeah. Yes, I was at 18 years old. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, now I want to jump into the business that you built and exited, and I really want to zoom into the experience of this, because I think this is huge, and I think it sounds really sexy on paper, and you did the really sexy thing that is on paper. Yes. And that's what I'm so curious. Like, can you give us some insight on the actual experience of building?
Well, I'll start with two things I want to qualify. First, it wasn't just me. We had partners. We, meaning me and my husband, we had partners. And it was really beautiful because our partners were also couples. There was 3 couples, so 6 of us were all equal partners in this business. And so that's one thing I want to qualify. So not only have I learned the difference between working with partners and working now on my own business, JW Strategies, as a solopreneur, but it is different working with partners. And the other 2 couples we're still great friends with. I mean, we don't, friends isn't even, I mean, family is, I mean, we've been through so much together. Like you said, it's sexy on paper, but like we were in the trenches together. And so yeah, we are more like family now. Honestly, one of my co-founders, partners, he runs my marketing for JW Strategies. So like, I mean, it's, or not my marketing, but my like book PR and all of that stuff. And so, so yeah, we are, it was a great experience, but there was a lot of ups and downs. That's the first thing I want to qualify. The second thing is you were talking about the 9 figures. Okay. That is interesting because what happens is when you're getting ready to exit a company, you get a valuation. The valuation was at 9 figures. That doesn't mean that's how much you're going to be getting out of the exit. So your company is valued at X. In this case, it was 9 figures, and then what you're going to be getting as a founder, owner, co-owner, whatever. That's depending on the deal. And that was what our lives revolved around for many months, is working on the deal. I mean, every single day it was about the deal. So we had a person representing us on our side, and then our acquirer had, of course, an investment bank and E&Y, Ernst & Young, their accounting firm that was representing them and helping them with all the audits. Every single day it was grueling. We had an E&Y person sitting in our like officing in one of our conference rooms, looking at every single file and email that you could think of. I mean, they go through every tiny little thing. I mean, your life is now an open book because they want to be sure that they're making the right decision. They hired this, big 5 accounting firm to do the work. It is not a fast process. It was a year probably from start to finish. And of course, deal sizes make a difference too with how long things take. But those are the 2 things I wanted to qualify: is that I didn't do it alone, and also the valuation number is different than the number that you actually will get out, basically. So that's okay. Now let's get into kind of the experience of selling. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So, gosh, the first thing I want to start with is a pivot that happened early on in the business. So, my husband and our partners were, at this time I was still working in a corporate job. So all the wives actually were still working in corporate jobs. The husbands were working on the business. The wives were providing stability with our corporate jobs, the insurance, the paycheck, all of that stuff, while the boys were out, not making any money at all. And so we were kind of the stability, we were holding it down. And the men, the men were out doing the business and trying to get it off the ground. And that was the agreement. We were all in it. We were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And one pivot that happened early on is what I think changed everything. And I write about this later on in the book, but basically we thought we were going to be in the retail space, and our husbands decided they would open these retail stores, and that was going to be it. Well, we had a whole bunch of people coming to the retail store asking, like, how are you guys getting product? Like, how do you get the product that you're selling? And the truth was that the guys had flipped their schedules. They were staying up all night talking to China, talking to India, and yes, and really like trying to get deals on product. Well, and then in the daytime they were sleeping while we were working. And then people would come in and say, like, how are you guys doing this? Well, instead of them just telling them how they did it, they said, how about this? We will get you product. We'll get it for you. And instead of saying, like,
amazing.
Right. And so that was the largest pivot, was seeing an opportunity of, like, wait a second, people want what we have. They're not willing to do what we are willing to do. Instead of just telling them the secret sauce, how about I just tell them I'll do it for you? And so they said, sure, that sounds fine. We'll buy from you then. And so that's how we got started in the wholesale business of our business. And I want to stop right here too and say, because people might be like, well, what was the business? Because that matters. Well, I do want to preface that we are not in this business because of I think our ethics have changed. But back in the day, when people were trying to get off cigarettes by vaping, we thought, wow, this is an interesting business to get into. This is a great cause. It's like people are trying to stop smoking. We all had people in our families that had experiences with cancer, and we were like, yeah, this is fantastic. Like, we can help people get off cigarettes and also have this business. Well, as most of your listeners and you probably know, that the industry has gone through a lot of changes, and PR is not good. Unfortunately, it went from being like helping people get off of cigarettes and all the carcinogens that happen in that, to now, like, oh goodness, people want to vape. Like, they're skipping cigarettes and just going to vaping, and children, and and so when we sold in 2019, it was around the time when the industry was kind of taking a turn. And so we were really happy to sell, really. It wasn't because we didn't love our business and our people, but just the optics around the business just weren't what we wanted to be in. And so we were happy that the timing lined up the way that it did. But specifically, if anybody's out there like, okay, but what did you make though? We created the liquids that goes inside of vaping products. So when people had like different flavors or different, it's called e-liquid. It went inside of vaping products. So people would put the liquid inside of some type of device and then vape it. And so yeah, that was what our business was. And it did really well, again, until the industry kind of shifted. And then we were like, oh wait, but yes, that's kind of in a nutshell, like one of the early pivots, and then kind of what the business was.
Which I think is huge. There's a few things I want to mirror back and make sure that people are hearing, right? One I hear the mindset of someone who is a business owner, and I would say like more CEO mindset versus founder, who can be very emotionally entangled with their baby.
Yes.
Which is very different than someone who wants to really run the business, run the numbers, and is going to make a business smart decision.
That's right.
Versus like what we want to do. Like reading the market, right, is what I heard.
Yes,
I was like, you did it beautifully in several different moments.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and so back in we sold in 2019. We started in 2012. And so in 2012, that, like I said, that story of pivoting, there's these little vape shops popping up, and we thought, yeah, that's the way to go. And now we see them on every corner, but we were one of the first, vape shops out there. And we just thought, wait, we don't have to do this. We can be a wholesaler. We can be a supplier, and everybody can come to us. And then by the time we sold, we were one of the top 3 suppliers of vaping products in the country. And it was really, really rewarding. And to the culture piece, which is where I got this passion for culture, we did this thing called the Second Chance program, where we hired people who were not going to get a traditional job. Like, they just weren't, because of their background. People were on parole. I had women who were trying to get custody of their kids back. Some hardcore stuff that people were dealing with. But it was kind of a catch-22. Like, how are they going to do all of this stuff with no job? And I got many calls from parole officers asking, like, hey, how's such and such doing? And that we built that into our model, that we were going to create jobs for people that wouldn't normally get the opportunity. And what we found was that these people started doing amazing, and started, like, we had no choice but to promote them. They were doing great. But then they didn't have the leadership skills and, the performance management skills to manage a team. And so then I thought, okay, well, maybe I can kind of create something. Maybe I'll create a leadership 101 class, or how to do a performance review class. And things really took off from there. And that type of work that I did for that group of people, so many people wanted to follow it. They were like, whoa, what are you doing here? What is going on? And we want to see what's happening here. And we got so much attention just from creating that program.
Yeah, I read about that, and I was just like, I had like this big goofy grin on my face. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible the way that you were able to not only serve this group of people, but also continue to pour into your mission.
Yeah. Yes.
And what was really guiding the work in the business.
Yes. And I think I like how you said earlier about, like, having the founders mindset versus the CEO mindset, because let's be honest, it was a good business decision too. We had our hearts were there, and it was also a great business decision. We were able to get people at rates that we probably wouldn't have been able to get someone else, and pour into them, and give them raises. It really was a win-win. It was like, wait, we don't, at this point in our life cycle, we don't have the money to pay, somebody however much money per hour, but this person's willing to work. They're willing to put in the work. Let's pour into them. They're going to meet us where we are. We're going to meet them where they are, and let's go do this thing together. It was also a great business decision, in my opinion.
Oh, I love that you are saying that and owning that, right? I think in my line of work, there's so much fear of judgment and fear of being misunderstood. And they, especially, and I'm speaking and picking on, but this applies to everyone, but really thinking about women who are in business, and especially when they're building something massive, there is fear of being seen as business first, or being selfish, or being whatever. And really, I think being able to hold tension in general is such a strong leadership skill that you have to have, depending on how you want to build. So I love that you are, like, also sharing this through line. I think that's huge.
Yes. We have to, I think that I serve on 2 nonprofit boards. I am all about community. I'm all about serving. It is who I am. It's part of my DNA. And two things when it comes to my business. Things also can make business sense as well. I don't have to say, well, if it's not going to make, if I'm serving in a way and it doesn't make business sense, that's okay. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes I do just give my time, or I just give, but a lot of times it has to make business sense for me too.
Yeah, which I would use the word efficiency. Right.
Exactly.
There, like, I think about, you have a finite amount of resources, no matter if you're looking at cognitive resources, financial time, attentional resources. You have a pie, and being able to allocate those things effectively, which if you are looking at a dual purpose, right?
Yes.
You're just doing things that I would imagine allow you, and I'm curious about this end of your selling experience as well, but like, how do you maintain the home life during all of that?
Oh, goodness. Yes.
Right? I'm like, it has to have taken a village. Holy cow.
Yes.
Like,
oh, it did. I like to be so upfront when people say, how do you do it all? I always say, with help. That's how.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
I love it.
Yes, with help. That's how. I will not say ever that women can do, or men, people, that we as business owners and entrepreneurs, that we can do it all. You can. Everybody can do whatever they want to do. For me, it was a matter of, how do I delegate some of the things that I number one, don't enjoy doing. Number two, that maybe not be in my zone of genius. And if they're not in my zone of genius, and I don't really enjoy doing them, absolutely. That is definitely delegation territory. And those are things like cleaning, cleaning up. I don't mind, cleaning up. It's not my zone of genius. I'm not an expert cleaner, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I love the idea that we can go out and get help. And back to what I was saying earlier, it also makes great sense. I'm actually helping somebody have employment, while they're doing something for me, I'm doing something for them. It's a win-win.
Yeah. Okay. Question here. And again, this is like off the cuff, so you're allowed to say it. Why do you think that people, I'll leave it a little bit broader, why do you think people struggle with that?
Well, I think it's because we've just been conditioned to own the things that we own and do in our United States of America anyway. Because I think when you look at other cultures, I have a friend who went to Cambodia to do some work there, and as a couple, and they were telling me that when you go there, it is frowned upon to go there and not hire a housekeeper and not hire a chef and not hire a driver, because you're not really contributing to the economy when you go over and just hoard all of the things. And so I think it's cultural. I really do. I think that it is a cultural thing that in the United States, where we are just conditioned to do all the things and not delegate work, especially housework. That is, and especially women. I know you said people, but I think especially women, that is something that we are just conditioned to not delegate. And there are some times where I want to do something on my own, but I like having that choice. I like having the choice to reorganize my pantry if I just feel like it that day. But I also like to have an organizer that comes over and puts labels on everything. I think it's cultural.
I would agree with that 100%. Okay, so because this is like the aligned powerhouse, I like want to get into like the identity piece of it too. Do you see that as playing, well, let me ask for you personally, does that feel like it plays a role in your perspective on being able to delegate, that perhaps you're not tied to this idea of needing to be needed as like a sense of like who you are? Does that make sense?
Yes. I see what you mean. And I think that with my children, I have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. I think with my children, I do have a different perspective on that. Again, when I say no judgment to a person who doesn't have a different perspective on that, I truly do not. Like, it is in my heart, I truly do not. But for me, I do have a mother and as a part of my identity that I hold dear. And so when it comes to going to my daughter's volleyball game or playing outside with my son, I'm 100% okay getting down on the floor, playing with my kids, and leaning into that while someone is cleaning up the bathroom.
Yes.
Like that's so a part of the mother part of my identity. I truly live out, and I take it very seriously. Cleaning a bathroom isn't part of my identity. Cleaning up and doing all of those things, I enjoy them sometimes, but I don't see it as part of my identity. But being a present mother is something that I truly, truly value and see as like, yeah, that's who I am. So I lean into that. I lean into it.
Can I pull that into this business? How did that play out in especially as you were, because my little like nerdy brain, I was thinking about the evolution, especially you talked about how quickly y'all built. It was really kind of like an explosion of, that might be a very dramatic word, but like, like you went from like a handful to like over 350. I was like, oh shit.
Yes, it was an explosion. It was crazy. And I think that was when I learned all what I'm talking about now. That was when I learned all of this. Before I had children, I had the idea that I would be like, all of those things would be a part of my identity, like cooking 3 meals a day, keeping a super clean home, clean car, going to all the PTA. Like I really thought like that was going to be part of my identity. And when we had children, also while building the business, I started to do a lot of identity work and thought like, wait, what's really most important to me right now? Because back to that pie you said, I only have so much. Where do I want to allocate the pieces of this pie? And to my business and to my family, those were the things that when everything was shaken up, the things that fell out were like, hey, these are the things that I'm picking up are my family and our business. And I also saw that my business was also impacting my family, like in a very positive way. So it still is all about family. I mean, yes, I see that, like, yes, I spent a lot of time in the business, but I also spent a lot of time in the business because I wanted to create a new generation, of wealth for my kids. So, and that's what we've been able to do.
Yeah, which that normalizing that is so huge, I think, because a lot of times what I see is that people are in either camp, right?
Yes.
Either it is mother first. I think it's used interchangeably with mother only. Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's very different than mother first. Yes. And then there's this other camp of if I want to change the trajectory of our family, like history, whatever, right? Then I have to be work only, and work comes first. And there really is such a flexibility there.
It's true. There is.
That is huge.
Yeah, and that's what you talk about. That's why I'm so attracted to you, is because you talk about the tension and the nuance between, you don't preach, you can have both, you can have all. You talk about, like, how do you though? How do you live in being a mom and providing well for your family and not being so guilty all the time? That's what you provide. And I mean that's why I love you, honestly.
Oh, thank you. I received that. I definitely received that. Yeah, I think that it is a really exciting idea, right? And there's actually literally, I have an episode coming out. I don't know when it'll come out in relation to this. I was yapping this weekend, but I literally talk about, actually money can buy you happiness depending on how you use it and depending on how you steward it, right? If you use it to buy back some of your pie and then you get like some freedom, like actually you
love that. I love that. When people say money can't buy happiness, I like it. I mean, it makes sense. It's simple. It's memorable. Like we get it. I get what they're trying to say. I really do. And I truly believe that like money can't buy you that like internal, just like happiness with yourself, and I think that's what people are trying to say. But I agree, money can buy you back a little bit of that pie, what comes in the form of time. And I mean, it's priceless. It's priceless.
I want to say that was also one of the first things that we connected on was when we went to a coffee shop and I was talking about home management and I loved our home manager. Yes. And it was because I get to spend more time with my kids. I didn't want a nanny. I didn't necessarily want more childcare. I wanted time with them. I wanted to be able to do those things. And you were like, me too. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Like, I love going to the library to read with my kids, and we go to the library story times. This morning I walked we just live around the corner from my kids' Montessori school, and instead of just driving, which would be 2 minutes, I thought, well, we'll just leave a little early and walk, and it's a 20-minute walk, and then we walk, it's through a nice wooded area, and then we stop and we look, and my son rode his bike, and I mean, that's what I want. It's like you said, it's not about childcare really, it's about how do I do that? How do I do more of that? And I'll be honest, selling the business allowed me to do that.
Well, I mean, right. I think that is such something I work on with people, especially if they have just had an exit, which usually brings about some kind of identity existential crisis of like, now what do I do? Yes. Or if they just start playing in bigger sandboxes, right? Yes. They went from 6 figures to maybe like 8 very, very quickly. It really brings up a lot of stuff, which is in your framework. In Halo, if I remember correctly, H is like higher power.
Higher purpose.
Okay, yes. Speak a little bit to that, because I think that really plays in here. Absolutely. And I was so drawn to that.
Oh, Dr. Brittany, yes. Because, when people sell or not even sell, but just come into a different bracket of wealth, like you said, they go from 6 figures to 7 or what have you. I think that we start looking around to see what we're supposed to do now. And we look at other people and we say like, oh, well, this person seems like they might be in the same level as I am. So, and they have on, Prada and Louis Vuitton and all of this stuff. So maybe I guess that's what I should do. That should be a part of who I am. Sure. Maybe. And no knock to people who love fashion. I do too. But my point is we can't really look to others to figure out who we are. We really do have to have whatever. And like I said in my book, I call it the higher purpose. What are we truly going toward? Is it going toward more family time, like I am? Is it going toward more business? Is it going toward a book, like I am? Is it going toward helping others? Whatever it is, we do have to have that North Star, that higher purpose, because if we don't, and when you get a whole bunch of money in your hands, I mean, I can't even. I've seen some terrible things. Terrible things happen when we don't ground ourselves first in what really matters, and truly like have somebody with us. Like a Dr. Brittany or somebody that's walking alongside us as we go on those paths, because it's so easy to just lose yourself, lose your identity.
I always say it amplifies.
Yes, it does.
Whatever is there, for better and for worse. If you have incredible communication and camaraderie and culture with 15 employees, then oh my gosh, if we can sustain it, it's going to be incredible with 500. If you don't, and there's cracks, you will be able to see them tenfold as the company grows, or just in your own identity. If there's insecurity there, if there is a tend to externalize our sense of self, then to your point, 100%, you're going to start, this is what rich people do. This is what wealthy people do. This is what da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Is that what you want to do?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that is huge. It was so, I felt so, I don't know if compelled is the word, or like drawn in that you started there in your book. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is absolutely what I believe. And you had it from a more organizational psychology perspective, which is so much fun. It's not always a piece of the industry that I am like pulled toward, right? Like when I hear it, I'm like, full disclosure, I'm like, sometimes it's probably gonna be boring. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But like just being real honest, right?
Thank you for your honesty. It's probably gonna be boring.
It's probably gonna be boring. But then, like, I went and I got to hear you speak, and you had Play-Doh and everything you said. I was like, I was here because I like you as like a human, and I'm curious, and I think you could serve me as I'm building my own company, all the things. And then you started talking. I was like, oh, and now all of my attention is here.
Yes,
and then I picked up the book, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
It really is a gift. So if you're listening to this episode and you're like, I'm not a big organizational psychology nerd, like, that's okay.
I get it.
At its heart, what I think is that this book is really about stewarding like influence and caring for people and being intentional about the way that you grow, and you're handing people such a gift. Like, is that would you okay
100%.
I'm like, I don't want to
it is being intentional about how you grow. I say in the book that our culture in an organization, in our family, in wherever, it's going to be something. It's not that if you're not if someone says, oh, I don't do the culture stuff, we don't do all that stuff, we just come and we work, or we, at our house we just, I'm like, culture will create itself. It doesn't really have to have you steward it. It will create. It's a living organism almost.
Yes.
But you actually get an opportunity to be intentional about investing in your people or in yourself, not just with money, but with experience, with development, with time. That's so spot on.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so now at the time of this episode airing, but it comes out on Monday. So what is that like?
It comes out on Thursday, which is August 20th. Okay. Wait, no. You're saying the episode comes out on Monday.
Yes, it'll be out on Monday. So then it'll be 4 days to launch day. Yes. I am so excited. Again, this book is called Pizza Parties Don't Build Culture. And Dr. Julia, we've talked about the book, we've talked about you. If someone is listening and they are just like, one, I adore this human as much as Dr. Brittany does, or I'm curious in following your thought leadership, I want to follow the launch, how can people get involved? Tell me more about JW strategies. Yes. So thank you for asking that. People can get involved by going to pizzapartybook.com. And there is, we're going to be having a community where we're going to have all types of resources. There's already resources on the site right now, but more resources. You can, and I guess if this comes out on Monday, it'll probably be too late for an advance copy, but you can get the copy on Amazon. It'll be available on Amazon. And JW Strategies, so we are a small team of 4, and we're a boutique firm, and we take on clients that are growing. And kind of like what you said earlier, Dr. Brittany, they are growing and they don't want to lose the culture as they grow. Mm-hmm. And most of my clients are getting ready to exit. And I love working with them since I've been there. They're getting ready for an exit. They're prepping. Maybe they have an exit on the table. Maybe they don't yet, but they're trying to get their company in order, get their affairs in order. As I say in the book and all around, that don't sleep on company culture as one of the drivers for getting your company prepped for exit. Making sure that the management team is where they need to be. Things like that are really important for acquirers. So that is what we do at JW Strategies. We focus on the culture and the organizational development side of your business. And I've partnered with companies that are in the legal field, companies that are in the government contracting space. I have a new client that is in the oil and gas industry. So we don't have a particular industry that we work in, but the type of business, the size of the business is usually that medium-sized business that is prepping themselves for an eventual exit. Okay, I love it. And I have another one last question for you. So I love a good tactical takeaway on this show. So if someone is listening and let's say they're a little bit smaller, so they're going to pick up the book, they know that there's going to be tons of value there. If you were speaking directly to them, what is 1 or 2 things that they could do to start building a better culture today?
Yeah.
We're going to start building it.
Here's, because I don't want to be overwhelming. the first thing I would do is do kind of an audit. And I don't mean like hire anybody. I truly mean sit back and just listen and look and see, how do people show up to meetings? How do people talk to each other? What is the, this word I kind of tease, but vibe. What is the vibe? Tell me about, I would ask people in your company, like, what does it feel like to work here? Not really trying to do anything yet, but just trying to figure that out first. I would do that first. And then I would say, in the industry that I'm in, what kind of culture do I need to have in order to fill in the blank, in order to sell, in order to grow, in order to, get more customers, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then that gap, that is what I would work on. I would figure out what you have, figure out where you're trying to go culture wise. And then the gap is filling that in with lots of tools from Pizza Party Book, but filling those things in with, okay, so I'm seeing that we don't have a good turnaround time when it comes to talking to customers, or our communication inside the organization stinks. Whatever it is that you came out of your audit with, you've got to figure out what you've got to change in order to get to that endpoint. Call me, seriously. I would love to talk through. I love these kind of issues. I love like talking out, like, what is it that we have to do to get to where we're going? It's so easy to look at that from a financial perspective, because it's like, oh, well, we need X amount of dollars to do this thing. But when it comes to people and your organization, it seems like very abstract, but it doesn't really have to be. Like, we really could make this, data. We could make it data and see, it's like, hey, what do you really have to do in order to get to where you're going? So I know that was a long answer, but I'll sum it up really quick. Do a quick audit, figure out where you're trying to go. That's it, period.
Yeah, huge. So like such high value, because to your point, not everyone does that. Not everyone is intentional about that process.
Yes.
So that's huge. Dr. Julia, I could talk to you for like 5 more hours, I think.
Same. Yes. Oh, and we started with me saying that I listened to your very last podcast about confidence. And oh my goodness, if you guys have not listened to that one, go back and listen to that one, because you are so spot on about how it's the experience and the way that entrepreneurs and high value, exit people, they deal with uncertainty and ambiguity. That is really the confidence. It's not necessarily that they just woke up confident one day. I loved that. It was so good.
Thank you. Thank you. You were such a hype woman. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, y'all. I will have links to Dr. Julia's website, her LinkedIn, pre-order for the book, all of the things in the show notes. Y'all have to go pick up your own copy of Pizza Parties Don't Build Culture. I can't even tell you, like, I don't even care if you're intentionally building culture or not. It applies to families. It applies to I think that it was a phenomenally written and expressed book, and it is such a gift that you have brought into this world. And I feel so grateful to get to have this time and this conversation and getting to share it with everyone today. Alrighty, y'all. That is all that we have for today's episode, and I will see y'all on the next one.
Alrighty, friend, that is all for today's episode of the Aligned Powerhouse podcast. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And do me a favor, if this episode resonated, I want you to share it with another powerhouse woman in your life who is ready to lead and love from a place of self-trust. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a quick rating or review. It really does help more women find this work. New episodes drop every week. Until then, lead with self-trust and let yourself be seen.